I don't have a lot of spare time to dedicate to my engine swap, but even with that in mind, progress has been slow.
The thing is, a lot of parts have been coming in from different places like Malaysia and the UK, and I'm never quite sure what I need until I'm up here working on it. Then I need to go find the parts that I'm missing. And also, a lot of these parts are custom, like this intake from ATS. The thing about custom parts is they don't always fit with each other as well as you'd like them to.
On top of the custom stuff, there's also just general maintenance stuff, which doesn't have to get done, but at this point really should.
Like, for example, I was originally planning on using the axles I've been using this whole time because it's cheaper and there's no reason to make this more expensive than it needed to be. But now that I've been working on this for 2 years, it makes no sense to put 100,000 mile axles back in the car, and I should really invest in some newer ones because now I've got a whole lot more invested in this. Also, at the moment, this shop is full of parts for the Yaris that are not necessarily for the engine swap, but should go in, and now I'm debating whether that needs to go in before I actually first fire this thing. You know, stuff like a roll bar finally. It's definitely got to go in before the first track day, but it doesn't need to go in before the first fire. But what's the point of firing this up if I'm not actually getting it ready for a track day, because I'm always at the 11th hour for an actual track day. So it's been a lot of back and forth up here, is my point. So I've been working on this Yaris engine swap for a long time. I haven't made a ton of progress, but I'm finally at the point where I think I can get everything buttoned up. So let's do that.
All right, let me give you an update on the Yaris and what it officially needs before it can be on the ground and running again. In general, there's 3 main sections to this: reassembly, wiring, and fluids. Assembly-wise, we are looking pretty good. The engine is in, the transmission is in, everything is correct on the flywheel and clutch. We have a brand new custom air intake and ECU from ATS Racing. ATS Racing is based out of Texas, and they deal a lot with 2ZR swaps into things like MR2s, and they were able to take my old intake and tune an ECU on one of their 2ZRs and then match the piping of my old intake so that I've got one that actually matches this chassis. Austin at ATS Racing is also the one that recommended the 1ZR ASIS intake manifold. And a lot of people have questioned how that's going to work, which brings me to wiring. The OEM parts of the wiring are pretty much done. The wiring harness matched up with this engine very well. There's only a few things that need to be custom made. I need to splice 2 wires in the fuse box to get power to the dash and to the MAF sensor. I guess the Scion XD, the fuse box is slightly different, but this should be an easy add a fuse situation. The other thing is powering the ASIS trigger, and we're going to do that with an RPM switch. Basically, an RPM switch is just an extra switch that sends a voltage when it sees a certain RPM or higher. So I'm going to get the tach signal from the OBD2 port, and when it sees a certain RPM, I think 4200 is what we're going with, then that ASIS system will open. If we were doing a standalone ECU, we could do something a little more refined to solve that problem, but the ASIS system isn't mission critical, so if it does or doesn't activate, it's not the end of the world. Therefore, we can do it with a dumb switch. Finally, we've got the fluids, which is coolant, oil, transmission fluid. Then there's a whole bunch of purging the system and priming the system and making sure that everything that's been sitting is not bone dry when we actually go to start the vehicle. Since I'm still using the same transmission, I'm using a lot of pieces that were already on the car or things that I'd bought a long time ago for this platform. All right, yes, comment section, I can hear you. The rear hatch is not normally how you'd get a roll bar in a car, but I felt like it was worth a try, right? This roll bar is the absolute bare minimum when it comes to safety. I wanted to save up for a much better one, but someone was getting rid of this completely unused on Facebook Marketplace, so I figured I'd snap it up. It's certainly better than driving one more event without any rollover protection. While things like the seats are out, I'm gonna switch to regular M10
screws and not those 8-point star ones that are on there, because I so often don't want to take the seats out because they're a pain with how those bolts are arranged. So hopefully this will just make it easier and more convenient. Also, while I'm making excuses, sometimes this project just gets stalled by normal things like breaking a wheel stud and having to wait for a whole new set of ARP wheel studs to show up, because this is like the third OEM one I've broke.
These ARP studs are also longer, which means I can put a spacer in the rear and match the wider track width I can get from my new control arms. But for now, I'm gonna keep on going with assembly, which means putting this guy in, which is a Koyorad radiator designed to fit the Yaris SR 1.8 liter that came in the UK. Not only does this have a bigger capacity because it was designed to work with the 1.8 initially, it's also a radiator designed for a manual, so it doesn't have a transmission cooler built in. So let's get that thing in the car.
Actually, never mind, because in dismantling everything, it turns out the clutch slave cylinder is fucked. So I'm gonna take that off and put on a fresh one. And now I'm gonna go wash my hands because brake fluid is corrosive and you shouldn't do what I just did.
I think there are two versions of this radiator, one with a filler neck and one without. I'm reusing the filler neck that originally was on the Yaris, and luckily I can also reuse the fan.
So we've reached a little problem with this fan setup. The 1NZ fan does fit on this 2ZR radiator. However, the 1ZR intake manifold with the ASIS is now running into the 1NZ fan. It never came like this in this configuration, so what we're gonna have to do is gonna have to trim the plastic back on the fan support there a little bit just to clearance it. Hopefully it's not gonna make too big of a difference. And looks like that might be the only point of contact. So once we get that done, should fit fine. By the way, whoever invented these clips, they are an absolute monster, and I hope you're burning in hell. Yeah. Okay, moving on to a little bit of wiring. I've got this little add-a fuse here that is going to go into my EFI circuit, and then this end is going to go to the MAF sensor and get the MAF sensor power.
Okay, so we've made a lot of progress. The radiator's in, the coolant system is fully plumbed, the fuel system is fully plumbed, the intake is on with the MAF sensor fully wired. I haven't wired the speedo yet, but honestly, I don't need that to start the vehicle. Only things that I really need to start the vehicle now are a couple hoses that I had to order and putting the axles in and getting all the fluids in. And then she should be ready to start. So let's just do that.
By the way, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you've got a hose that's too short, you can go down to like an AutoZone or an O'Reilly's or something like that, and they do hose by the foot. But if you can find a scrap that works for you, they will probably just give it to you.
With all the hoses and wiring finally completed, I can move back to assembly and install the brand new axles.
I mean, that's going nowhere. The alignment is probably going to be very funky, but no worries, because we got to get the whole car realigned. Anyway, right now it's just about assembly. Assembly, wiring, fluids. I didn't say anything about alignment. I'm using AMSOIL's Severe Gear 75W90, which should be great for this transmission, but I do have that Cusco diff. Now, when I got that diff, Cusco said that using anyone else's oil was going to create some chatter. Luckily, AMSOIL does this slip lock additive, which should eliminate that chatter. All right, so we're basically done with assembly. Axles are in. We're already moving on fluids. Diff fluid is already in. I've got the coolant and the oil right here. Unfortunately, this is where we're gonna pause for two reasons. One, I'm still waiting on a baffled oil pan for this. It's gonna be really cool. It was specifically designed by a group in the UK that tracks Lotus Elises, so it's gonna be great in this. And also, we're gonna need to drain the fuel because that fuel tank has been sitting full for over 2 years. There is no chance that that is good fuel, and I don't want that running through this engine. But we are really, really, really close. I think next video, we can fire this up. That is assuming everything is done correctly. Next video, we can attempt to fire this up. Thanks to ATS Racing for the intake and all the advice on this swap. Thanks to AMSOIL for still sticking with me after all these years. Thanks to Cusco for a whole bunch of parts that they've thrown at this car as well. And also the FRS. Stick around for some of that coming up soon. Thank you to a bunch of random people who were willing to sell used parts or parts that were designed for different cars to me. Really helpful. And thank you to you guys for sticking around and watching all these videos, because I know you want to see this back on track as much as I do.